What's up, guys, and thanks for tuning in to CRÜZR Radio, episode number 42. I'm your host, Andrew Taylor, and today we're joined in by three-time CrossFit Games athlete, Mr. Luke Parker. Luke is a prime example of what a lot of hard work and dedication not only in fitness and in life can produce. And in today's episode, we'll take a deep dive into faith, family, fitness, and the outdoors. Let's get into it. We're going to do something a little different right off the bat. I hope you don't mind.
Yeah.
I'm sure you won't, but this podcast will come out a couple weeks from now, and what is happening with Hurricane Helene and everything, it's just a tragedy. And
Yeah, they're saying it's going to be worse than
Katrina.
Katrina, yeah. Sorry, the name slipped my mind. But,
Yeah.
So, which is crazy to think about.
Yeah, absolutely. It's been on biblical proportion, like devastation, like it's apocalyptic essentially, and it's a tragedy. There's a lot of people that have lost everything, lost their lives, lost family, children displaced. It's horrible.
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, us as Christians and hunters, I feel like, whatever we can do, we need to. And
Absolutely.
if there's listeners, any way you could give, there's so many places you can give. Our friends at Dead End Gang Calls, they're doing some stuff.
Yeah.
And then Mayhem Missions, I'm pretty sure, is doing some stuff.
Yeah, mayhemmission.org. We have a link if you guys want to help donate towards the hurricane relief.
Yeah.
I'm sure that's a resource.
There's so many resources. And on top of that, I mean, just everybody that's displaced, people that have lost their lives, people that they still haven't found, I think we should keep them in our thoughts and prayers for sure.
Absolutely.
Yeah. It is crazy hearing, Chad, you bring up Katrina. I mean, I was a lot younger then, but man, I just will never forget like a football stadium full of people that lost their homes. That are waiting for, donations, help, food, all the things.
Yeah.
I just can't imagine. I actually have some friends that are in North Carolina that they didn't have they weren't affected at all. And then I have other friends that are close to some more of the tragedy areas.
Mm-hmm.
And it's nuts. They're talking about smelling, like they could smell dead bodies down the road.
Yeah, it's insane. I mean, what we're seeing on the news is not even close to half of it. It's actually, I mean, I don't know how you feel about the mainstream media, but they're just not doing a good job, period, on anything. Anyway, yeah.
Yeah.
I won't get too political, but
I was about to say.
Some of the lineman stories and stuff is really the first-hand accounts that I read. I mean, walking up on dead bodies, and then it's awful. And you never really think something like that hits close to home. And unfortunately, in this situation,
it's 4 hours from us.
Yeah, it's super close.
We've got good friends in East Tennessee that, that are in the outdoor industry. We partner with Dead End. Patrick, just a mile down from his house, was the Nolichucky. Like, he lives close to the Nolichucky Dam, and then he said that one bridge or whatever that got washed out in East Tennessee is a mile from his house. So he's been affected by it. Luckily, he didn't lose any friends or family. But I know, man, it's just horrific.
For sure.
Yeah. So
our thoughts and prayers are definitely with them folks.
Yeah.
But on today's episode, we got a special guest, Mr. Luke Parker. How are you, bud?
Good. Hey, I just appreciate you bringing up the hurricane thing. I mean, a lot of people don't, like myself, live under a rock. Like, I'm a father to my first newborn son, and I don't watch a whole lot of news. So I think just us bringing it up on the platform, on the podcast, talking about it's a good thing. But hey, grateful to be here. So thanks for having me on.
I appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks for coming on, man. So we appreciate it.
Absolutely.
How's life since you've had a newborn?
It's good. It's I'm getting used to operating on little sleep.
Oh, yep.
Yeah. Well, that's once you become a father, I mean, that is pretty much your new norm.
Yeah.
No sleep, because you're either dealing with a newborn or you're worrying about your kids. So yeah, it's I've got 3, so
yeah, yeah.
I've done it 3 times. Yeah.
Go ahead.
I tell everybody it's the hardest, most rewarding thing I've ever done.
Are you a father as well?
Yes, sir.
Oh, nice.
Mine is 14 months old, so He's getting into everything right now.
That's awesome.
Starting to walk.
Super cool.
Oh, walking, crawling, into every
Opening
cabinet.
Everything. Yeah, exactly. That's what I was going to say. Well, mine are 11, 8, and 6. So,
wow.
Yeah.
Tribe.
That's a lot.
Tribe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's actually kind of funny because it's interesting timing having a newborn like right before hunting season. And I thought it was really funny that my mindset was like, oh, well, this will just get my mind prepared for hunting season. Waking up at 4 a.m., you know,
right.
to try to get in the stand.
And it's the exact opposite. You're like, oh, it's 4 a.m. already.
Yeah. You just went to bed an hour ago.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. Mine was born right before hunting season. So I left my wife quite a bit during hunting season. I love you, Brianna. But she wasn't too fond of that. But we're over that now.
Did you guys plan your child or?
Yes.
Okay. Awesome.
Yeah, we had like, it was actually a good question. So there was a time where we're like, all right, like if there was a time to try, it'd be now based on the CrossFit season.
Yeah.
And yeah, within like weeks, we were like, oh, well, it worked.
That wasn't hard at all.
Yeah.
Which is a blessing, you know. Some people have issues, but yeah, that's kind of my story too. Is we our first one was unplanned, the second one we planned, and it was like you try once or twice, and it's like, well, all right, that took. So
and
then the third one was unplanned as well, and I was like, we were both freaking out because we only wanted two, and then she's like, I think I'm pregnant. And I'm like, how did that happen? You know, she's like, you're an idiot. You know, how do you think it happened?
You know how this happened.
Yeah.
You spoke about CrossFit.
Yeah.
3-time games athlete, is that right?
Yes. 3-time CrossFit Games athlete. My first year, I was on a team, which is a very unique experience for the CrossFit work. Let me back up and say, for the listeners that don't know what we're talking about, we're in Cookeville, Tennessee, which is home of CrossFit Mayhem, which is actually really cool because it's like the #1 most famous CrossFit gym in not just the U.S. but in the world,
and it's massive. It's huge.
Yeah, and that's because of Rich Froning, who is a 10-time gold medalist CrossFit Games champion.
Yep.
Anyway, I say that my first year on a team. My last 2 years were individual. Anyway, my first team CrossFit Games year was super unique and incredible because I got to be on a team that wasn't Rich's team, which is the team that won. Yeah, it was cool. My team actually did come in 5th, which is cool as well. But we got to go head to head and train with Rich alongside him all year, which was on his final year before retiring his last gold medal. Yeah, that was a cool experience.
Have you always done CrossFit, or is that something that you moved to Cookeville and got into, or did you move to Cookeville for CrossFit?
Yeah, another good question. I'm kind of like a typical jock growing up, like played all the sports, focused on high school football and baseball, played 4 years of college baseball, started trying to figure out what to do with my life outside of that, and then started watching YouTube videos of Rich and was like, dang, you can make money and work out for a living. I'll try that. And then,
for sure.
Yeah. And then it was really, if I'm being more specific, honestly, it was a call. I felt like God was calling me to the CrossFit community, and I didn't know what that looked like. And uniquely, I met the CFO. So the gentleman that does all of Rich's finances for several years. And now is the CFO of Mayhem. Anyway, long story short, he and Rich in 2020 started Mayhem Mission, which is the link we dropped at the beginning of the episode for hurricane relief. And that is the nonprofit for Mayhem. And I told Brian, meeting him, I was like, hey, brother, I'd love to help. I know as a business, CrossFit Mayhem is founded on, like, the core values are faith, family, fitness, service. And I'm like, well, shoot, those are my core values as a man. Like, I want to help support in any way I can with this nonprofit stuff. And then, getting to know and meet Rich through Mayhem Mission, he was like, hey, brother, come work out one day in the barn. And then I visited. It was kind of like, well, I'm trying this CrossFit thing. I'm an ex, college baseball player. I'm going to see if I have what it takes to do this CrossFit stuff. And then the rest is history there.
Wow.
So moved to Cookeville and fell in love with CrossFit. And I got to actually hand some of the hunting that I've done in the last several years to Rich.
Yeah.
Just because CrossFit, man, like anything in life, profession-wise, like a job, you got to go all in if you're gonna maximize.
If you're gonna compete, yeah,
like you need your life, right? Yeah, maximize your potential, go all in.
Yeah,
exactly, your livelihood. And I grew up. My dad was super into tactical stuff, so I grew up shooting my whole life. I actually did really enjoy my grandpa before he passed when I was younger. Was super into duck hunting. Yeah, so I'm a duck hunter.
You're speaking my language right there.
But man, I had some college, like playing college baseball. I had some country boys that were like, "Yo, come frog gigging with us."
Yeah, man.
Yeah, come get in the deer stand. And like I shot a few deer with a rifle in college. I was like, man, that's really cool. And then the whole livelihood conversation, right? The dedication to CrossFit took over. Yeah. And then Rich was like, "Hey man, want to get a bow?" And I'm like, "That looks fun. I guess it's gonna save money shooting arrows." And then next thing I know, I'm on a 10-day elk hunt. I have no business being out there. No idea what I'm doing. Only comfortable shooting my bow up to like 30 to 40 yards.
Yeah.
And of course, day one, I'm not in Rich's like group. I'm in a different one, and I see elk at like 90 yards broadside.
Yeah.
And none of us are comfortable shooting that far. I look at myself now and I'm like, okay, now I have a few years under my belt. I'm comfortable shooting up to 100 yards.
Yeah.
At a big animal like an elk.
Yeah, I mean their vitals are huge, so there's a little bit of room for error there. So
exactly. Yeah. It's like a moose, right? Yeah. Like a deer, I probably wouldn't want to really shoot over 60 to 80, depending if it's dead stop still and broadside, obviously, but. Anyway, I still have to say, I got to dedicate some of my eagerness now to the outdoors and specifically archery to Rich, and I'm obsessed with it now. So got about 3 years under my belt, and I'm just dropping the hammer there.
It's a business, dude. Bow hunting is like I don't know how you would describe it, but it's like a feeling you don't get with nothing else.
Yeah, dude, it's just getting close to a wild animal that has no idea you're there, and you're it's predator prey. You're trying to hunt that thing, and their only goal is to live. Yeah. And your goal is to harvest that animal. So it's addicting for sure. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I think for me, I think you hit the nail on the head, Joe. I think it's how close you get.
Yeah.
Like I definitely had what they call buck fever, right? The adrenaline rush looking through a scope. But man, even when you're like glassing or looking through binoculars at 200 yards, sometimes you're shooting or looking at what you think is a doe, and it could be like whatever you call it, like a young buck that's dobbing, right? Like a small spike. And yeah, there's adrenaline there, but when that animal is so close to you and you can almost like hear it like breathing,
you can see it. You can see its eyelashes. It's the white in its eyes. It's you're getting in their zone, and every little move you make could blow the hunt. Totally. Like you got to factor in the wind. It's
like a chess match.
It is, and it's especially with like big deer. It is 100% a chess match. Yeah,
they're a lot smarter.
Yeah, they don't get big by being stupid, so you've got to outsmart them, and it's a very fun game to play.
Oh, for sure. I like to say anybody can shoot a deer with a gun at 300 yards, but not anybody.
Well, not anybody. Well,
then you're going to throw in like strongman stuff. In this past games, there was a mile run for time. And then there was an event where you run sprints on a football field, and you have a sandbag, and then there's like a 100-yard dash to the finish line. And then one of them was a hero workout, which is cool, tribute to military. And one of the hero workouts in the CrossFit community we did at the CrossFit Games, which was a little less exciting for fans to watch, but it was 1,000 box step ups for time with a 45-pound ruck on your back, which is essentially elk hunt training.
Oh yeah. That's insane. Yeah.
But so it's so many different varies of fitness.
Yeah.
That's who's the jack of all trades really is what it is.
Yeah.
Or I guess king of all trades.
And I guess, it's probably strategic too, as how you go about things.
Yeah.
Not to burn out too fast, stuff like that.
Yeah, pacing's huge.
Speaking, you rung up the mile. What'd you run that mile in at the games? It was like crazy.
Yeah, that was a fun event for me. Unfortunately I was in what I like to call the slow heat. So there's different heats, right? You're in the first heat or the second heat. Everyone wants to be in the last heat because those are the guys on the leaderboard that are in the best position.
Yeah.
And the reason is because the guys in the previous heat, you get to watch go through the ringer, so to speak, whatever event they're going to go through, and they get to see how those people handle it and get the pace off of them. I was that guy in the first heat. So I kind of set the tone. So the guys in the fast heat were like looking at me like, all right, well, I got to do that now,
Yeah.
Which was cool. I kind of didn't like it as much because I wish I was racing the faster guys because I was like 20 seconds ahead of everyone in my heat on that one, which is cool. That was a good. Pull, then there's wall balls, and then you finish.
Yeah.
There's like all these different elements in between running, so it's essentially an endurance event. But it's cool because it's the same test every time, so you can get what's coming.
Yeah. Yeah.
Sounds miserable to me. I don't work out that much. Growing up, I never really worked out that much. I got into rock climbing in in college, into high school through college, but that's the most working out I ever did. So
he was a semi-professional skateboarder at one time.
Yeah, maybe a little bit.
That's cool.
Skateboarding and then rock climbing and then deer hunting. So that was what I did. So
I'll tell you one event that I would like to see more of, like First Form Outdoor Games. That's right up my alley. I love that stuff.
Yeah, I can't wait.
Explain that. I have no idea what they do.
Yeah, absolutely. So it's interesting. Now you have a lot of companies now that are doing different things. For example, we have now that it's kind of exploded a little bit the last few years. It's called the Tactical Games. It's essentially competition shooting with a slight mixture of functional fitness or what some would call CrossFit. So essentially, there might be an event that is only CrossFit. You might have a gun that's unloaded, strapped with a sling, like an AR. Let's say you have like an AR strapped to your back on a sling, but you're not touching it. You're not even shooting in the event. And it's just X amount of sandbags over a thing, and maybe farmer carries with that sandbag. And then another event, there might not be any fitness. And then you kind of have to shoot at 100 yards targets with your AR. And then it'll be like a 2-gun event where you have to safely unload it, sling it, and then go to your handgun and then hit paper targets, similar to a pistol competition or a shooting competition. And then at the end, there's several events in a weekend. Anyway, that that test at the end of the weekend is based on total time to finish your workout. And then based off your misses or how good your shots are on the targets, that will either subtract time or add time to your total time. And then that's how the leaderboard works in tactical games.
Gotcha.
So the outdoor games for first form is the same thing except archery.
Yeah.
Which is really cool because they throw you to the fire and some fitness, and then they're like, all right, you know, you might shoot 6 arrows in this event, or most of them are just 4 arrows, but you know, you have to shoot different ranges too, which is really neat. But the outdoor games is cool because similar to CrossFit and like the CrossFit Worldwide Open, it's open to the public via online. You have to video yourself, shoot targets up to 20 yards so they called it the November Knockdown Challenge this past year, and they're going to have it again this year for listeners who are curious to test your fitness abilities and archery at the same time. And it's 4 weeks, so the entire month of November, which is hunting season.
Yeah.
Not totally ideal timing. Yeah, right, yeah. The rut. But it's just one workout a week, and you film yourself do like, I'm going to make up a quick workout that's similar to one of them, like 20 air squats, 20 lunges, and then 20 sit-ups, and then you shoot an arrow 4 rounds per time. So you have 4 total arrows. You do a little bit of fitness, and you video it. If you, over the course of those 4 workouts, 1 per week for a month, come in top 10, they fly you out to First Form headquarters, and then they have the outdoor games. Then they crown a champion, which is cool. There was a $10,000 prize for the winner last year. Everyone got a free dialed archery sight, bow sight. Everyone got like a super nice vortex rangefinder, binoculars. I mean, you got a ton of cool stuff and a cool experience at First Form headquarters, and not to mention an amazing experience competing. So that was a really good time.
No, I watched that, and I did November Knockdown as well.
Did you?
You don't realize how bad a shot you are until you get your heart rate up.
Yeah, it's tough, man.
It is crazy.
Well, I realize it because I've missed a lot of deer when my heart's pounding when they come in. So.
I did that, and then I got to thinking, man, like, you go elk hunting, this is like the norm.
Yeah, sort of.
Well, I mean, hiking up all the mountains, 7-8 miles a day, you're tired. Then,
I mean, it depends your style. I'm with you on, getting after it if you're elk hunting and trying to get on some animals. But there's a ton of people that go out in the mountains and they'll just sit all day.
Yeah, just sit under their wallows and stuff.
About that.
Yeah.
I like, I'd probably take the turkey hunting aspect of it.
I would too, man. Probably, even though I'm nowhere even close to fit enough to go hunt elk in the mountains right now. But that's the way I would be too. I'd just kill myself,
Yeah.
Because that's the way I do turkey hunting. So I would definitely.
Well, I mean, in the moment with your adrenaline rushing, you probably do a lot more than you think you're capable of.
Yeah, sure.
I got to just preface with this. I don't have a whole lot of elk hunting experience, but I like to think after hearing some of the stories now that Rich has got quite a bit of experience under his belt, I feel like a lot of it comes down to calling. Yeah. Like obviously strategy and experience for sure.
Yeah.
But I just think it's funny, and I wanted to bring this up. I was talking about the fitness involved in the mountains out west for, spot and stalk style hunting. And I think it's funny because the world's fittest man, talking about Rich, arguably, respectfully. Anyway, well, Rich, like his first ever bull kill, like male elk that he killed, was he spent the entire trip hiking his nuts off, trying to get after it. And a few hours before them packing up and literally leaving to go back home, this is in Colorado, he just sat there, like similar to what Chad was saying, like next to a little wallow, and he just sat there and was like, all right, well, unless something walks out, we're just going to go home.
Yeah, he told me a story. He said he was watching football on his phone.
On his iPhone. I think you're right. Yeah, he's watching like the Detroit Lions.
Yeah, that's what he said.
And sure enough, guess what came out? 4 yards broadside in the thicket.
Yeah,
a nice bowl.
Nice bowl.
How many miles did he hike?
I mean, at least 10 miles a day, 10,000 feet of elevation or more.
Gosh.
Yeah.
Hike that much and then turn around and sit down?
Yeah.
Oh, there it is. Us.
Yeah, it's kind of ironic, isn't it? You
seriously
bust your tail trying to find an elk, and then you get tired of busting your tail, you just sit down, and here one comes.
I feel like that's how it happens.
Yeah.
There's no other way. It's always going to happen the opposite of what you expect it to.
Well, not always, but it's sometimes,
Do you only deer hunt around here? Have you been turkey hunting and stuff?
Yeah, I was gonna ask you about turkey hunting. I went a few times when I was younger, like with my grandpa and my dad, but I was literally just like I had a BB gun and I was hanging with them in camouflage.
Yeah.
I don't have any experience turkey hunting here. I would love to do it. I feel like I have friends that explain it, and it sounds like, honestly, this is gonna sound funny to you guys because you guys are big turkey hunters, right?
Oh yeah.
So coming from someone who's never turkey hunted, but listening to my friends, this is how it sounds to me, and why I get excited about getting into it in the future is similarly comparing elk hunting to turkey hunting. I like to look at elk hunting like you're playing 18 holes and you're walking those holes as far as like the time, the energy, the effort. And then I would consider turkey hunting like you're still walking the course, but you're putting at like a putt-putt course. Like it's a smaller amount of land maybe, but like you're still having to move around spot and stalk similar to elk hunting. Yeah. Correct me if I'm wrong there, coming from someone who doesn't do it.
It is definitely on a smaller scale. I mean, only because you're limited to the land you can hunt on, right? And usually like in rural areas, say like north of us and Overton County, and even Putnam County's got a ton of turkeys, but it is that calling game and kind of the one advantage you have is turkeys can't smell.
Yep.
They can see better than pretty much any other, just like any other bird can see. They can see really, really well.
So wind is not a factor.
Wind is not a factor.
Wow, that is
interesting. You are doing the calling game, but it is very strategic in your calling. I mean, I'll give you an example. Like this year, I hunted Indiana the first day, calling to them. They were answering, would not come in.
Wow. Because
toms, they'll gobble to let the hens know where they're at, and the hens in the wild usually come to the toms.
Right.
Because they're in the strut zone. They're displaying and gobbling, and they're wanting the hens to come to them so they can breed them, right? So when you're calling, you're trying to get them to come to you. So it's very strategic in your calling and your setups. So like in Indiana this year, I was calling the first day a lot, getting them to gobble, trying to move around on them. Never could get one to come in. And it's public land too, so you're dealing with a lot of other hunters. It's a pain in the butt. So struck out the first day, right? The second day went back in, but at camp, one of my buddies, Scott, he said, because he killed the first day, he said I called, let the tom know I was there, and then he said he just shut up, just doing some clucking, purring, scratching the ground. Thing came right in, killed it, So he's sweet talking that tom, and I remembered him telling that the night before the second day. So I went out the second day, same area, calling to the same birds, snuck up to within the bubble, because they pretty much, you're going to want to get in their bubble. Once you get in that bubble and they'll commit to come in. So basically did that, got in his bubble, called a little bit, yelped, and then I just shut up and I would scratch the leaves, acting like I was a turkey feeding. Mm-hmm. He just couldn't handle it. He came to 15 yards and I killed him. So
let's go.
Yeah, man, turkey hunting it's a chess match, just like elk calling is, I'm sure, and elk hunting is.
15 yards. I know your heart was thumping.
Oh yeah, it did. Oh yeah.
You're like, fine.
Turkey hunting gets me jacked up.
Finally.
They get to spitting and drumming. You can feel it like on the ground. It's
wild, man. We will take you turkey hunting, buddy. You will get,
for sure.
You will get absolutely addicted to turkey hunting.
I love that.
It's amazing.
I'm curious. You brought up the bubble.
Yeah.
When you get close enough to them, like, how would you describe the bubble as far as like actual, like how many yards?
So, I mean, a lot of turkeys are different. It just really depends on how pressured they are. But I feel like if you get within, some turkeys are 100 yards, some turkeys are 80 yards. The one that I killed, I had to get within like 60 yards of it.
Wow.
But I did use elevation to my advantage and was able to crawl up to 60 yards. Then I actually called him up over a hill.
Right.
So it really depends on whether the turkey's been super pressured, which public land, they're pretty pressured.
Yeah.
But, you know, the ones I killed in Tennessee this year, I called them from 150 yards away.
Huh.
So,
yeah,
really just depends.
Depends on the bird or I guess the I guess the weather, all the things.
Yeah, it's a lot. I mean, there's some days you go out and they're gobbling their heads off. The next day you go out and you walk 5 miles and you don't even hear a bird. Yeah. So
it's really weird too. I mean, the longer the season goes, once the hens get bred, they seem to kind of come out hot, slow down in the middle, and then towards the end pick back up after the hens get bred.
Man, I'll tell you, the best time to kill a turkey is between 11 and 2 p.m.
Yeah.
11 a.m., 2 p.m. You get the birds or right off the roost, obviously. If you roost one, you can get them to fly down to your decoys, kill it. That's fun, but it's kind of, you just go out, you know where the bird's roosted, you sit down, you make a setup, it comes in, you kill it.
Yeah.
I like going out. I like sleeping in. So I wake up about 9 o'clock, get my stuff together, go out in the woods, and basically the toms and the hens will split up off the roost. And then, you know, these turkeys are still fired up. It's mating season.
Yeah.
So they've already lost their hens. And, you know, you start acting like a hen who's ready to breed, they're going to come in and
they're hungry.
They're curious, you know?
Yeah.
So
that sounds more fun than
yeah. And you get to run around the woods and chase them and make strategic setups, and it's fun.
And I mean, and arguably, Tennessee's got some of the best turkey hunting, I would say.
Yeah, I've heard that.
Absolutely.
So we're very lucky to be able to, I mean, there's states that have very low numbers, so here we're super lucky to be able to go out and see watch turkeys.
Absolutely. Especially Easterns, the Southeast is one of the best. Yeah. I did go to the Northeast this year, hunted Vermont, New Hampshire, and Maine, and that was unreal.
Really?
Yeah, it was wild. I killed 5 birds in 3 days, so yeah, it was fun.
That sounds
definitely doing
success.
that again. Yeah, definitely doing that again.
What was how many birds can you kill up there?
It's 2 in each state.
Oh, okay.
Yep. So that's what I did.
So how many did you kill total this year?
8 turkeys.
He's a killer.
Yep. Yeah, that's good. That's a good year.
Yeah, it was a great year. We got them all on film too, so
I love that.
This spring we got some really cool footage coming out.
And that's a whole nother, of course, I'm sure you know, but that's a whole nother game too.
Whole nother
filming your hunts.
Yeah.
Have you filmed any hunts yet?
No, I mean,
tried?
No.
Self-filming? No.
It's funny you bring that up. I was just like I'm trying to think, what day was that? It was several weeks ago, was opening archery for Georgia. And I went and sat with my brother. And, you know, he's tracking these deer all year, you know.
Yep.
And he knows like which buck he wants to kill. It comes in and I'm looking, I'm excited because I'm seeing some deer and I'm like, man, that deer right there. He's like, yeah, we're not killing that one as an extra kicker. You know, I want to. He's gonna be a good shooter next year. And I'm looking at that deer like, man, I'd love to shoot that deer.
Yeah.
And then he's like, and then he told me, because this is a bachelor group coming in. He's like, man, some of these, you can kill any of those. And I'm like, I'm like saliva.
Yeah.
And then he shoots the one he wants, and I'm sitting there, and these deer at one moment, and they all look at us, and I'm like, oh no. And you asked, like, have I ever filmed anything? My plan, this is funny. He's in an actual, like, hang-on stand. I'm in my CRÜZR saddle behind him. It was cool. It was like a tree that had, like, a double tree, a split.
Yeah.
And I'm, like, maybe 6 feet above him, just chilling in the saddle, like, super comfortable, wanting to pull out my iPhone to film him. I don't have, like, a swing arm and an actual camera. He actually filmed the hunt, and he has a swing arm. So he actually filmed the shot and everything. And I just wanted to get some iPhone footage. But I was so scared because I was like,
if I want to move.
If I move and screw this up for him for an iPhone shot video, he's going to be so salty. Like, dude, what are you thinking?
Yeah. For sure.
But like, to I guess to your point, like, man, talk about like what Chad was saying earlier. I mean, you make any sudden movement when deer get that close, like your hunt's over. And then if you have to, you know, put the stress on yourself or worry about like, hey, did I turn the camera on? Like, am I ready with my camera?
Not a bunch.
Yeah. There's so many factors.
You have to shoot it twice. Once with a camera and once with whatever you're hunting with. That makes it so much harder.
Yeah. exactly.
Most of the time in my case, it's like, all right, I hope they walk this way. Let's point it right there.
Yeah.
And then if I get it, great. If not, I killed a deer.
Yeah, whatever.
So curious, do you guys have a like a friend or someone that is like really good or also likes to like do the videography side of things to help you guys, or do you guys do that on your own?
So this year we're really pushing toward our YouTube channel to try to put out some hunts. We're actually going to be putting out a hunt that our social media manager, Jake Belinda, did in Montana. He killed a super cool velvet whitetail with like, I don't even know, probably like 10-inch brows. And I mean, he wasn't that impressive as far as his rack. It was like real tight, tall. The tines weren't very long, but the brow tines were just incredible.
Wow.
The bases were, I mean, he had a lot of mass. It was definitely a mature deer. But it was in Montana, which you don't think of as a whitetail state. And so he was actually up there. He drew some elk tags in Idaho or maybe it was Wyoming. I don't know. Wyoming, Montana, Idaho, somewhere in there. Montana and Idaho, I think. But he's like, hey, I've got a deer tag too. I can film it and get some stuff for the YouTube channel. So he did, and we got that hunt coming out. And we've got some other people that are hunting for us, like ambassadors or whatever, that are putting videos together. So, but as far as around here, I mean, you know Brendan. Brendan's come out with us a bunch and filmed some stuff.
Yeah, he's good.
Yeah. And then we had Andrew film me on the velvet hunt. So we all kind of just share that load, you know? So,
yeah. So are you pretty comfortable like videoing and stuff?
No. I mean, let me take that back. I'm comfortable videoing. I'm not comfortable editing.
Yeah. So we do have our own editor as well. He worked, Shay, he worked for Midwest Whitetail last season. So he was an intern. This year he's editing stuff for us as well. But with these cameras that we have, the ones filming us now, they're like prosumer camcorders, so they're super easy to use and film with. When you get to the DSLRs, those are you got to know what you're doing with those for sure. And Michael, he ran a wedding photography company, so he films with those, helps us out with those. So
that's awesome.
Yeah. We got a good thing going. I think we got some cool videos that we're going to be putting out. So
yeah, that's exciting.
Yeah,
I mean, YouTube's cool, man. Once you like get a bunch of videos stocked up, especially some exciting hunts.
Yeah,
I think it's cool to have that content, be able to share it.
Yeah, and it's crazy too. Like, I mean, content is the world now.
Oh, especially in our world. Well, I mean, even in the CrossFit world, the content is how you make a name for yourself, basically.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Outdoors, like you're saying, outdoors, it's blowing up. Yeah.
Yeah, it is. It's very saturated.
Like, you know, the phrase, like, keep up with the Joneses.
Exactly.
Like you said, you got to have, like, some of what you're doing captured and share it.
Yep.
I think a lot of the biggest problem, and we've talked about this before, though, is you get positive and negative sides of, especially in outdoors.
Yep.
I mean, there's a lot of new people that won't shoot just regular old deer because they're scared of what somebody might say. And you got a lot of followers. I'm sure you take some criticism every now and again, but the outdoor world, it's definitely hard, I think, for a lot of newcomers.
Yeah, it's funny. Rich, who's got a lot more followers than me, he's got like 1 million followers. I got like somewhere close to 250,000. But anyway, it's funny. We call it the purge because it's like, hey, we're weeding out the followers that aren't the true followers. That want to actually support what we're doing. Mm-hmm. I think it's funny because every hunting season we'll lose followers for sure.
Oh, he get like you go on the mayhem hunt stuff.
That bear
he posts when
he posted that bear picture.
Oh my gosh, he got like death threats. It's so ridiculous.
Which is actually really funny because Scott Vandersloot, which is his media director, who edited that bear photo so well. Like, dude, it was an extremely bloody photo. And he, in Photoshop, just cleaned up all the blood. There's still a little bit there. I mean, you can't make it perfect. And still, just because it was a bear.
Yeah.
And people associate, like, teddy bears. Oh, it's so cute.
Or even they think it's like a big puppy dog.
Yeah, like a big dog. And it's like, what?
I mean, they act a lot like a dog, but it's not a dog, dude.
No.
That thing will maul you.
Yeah, tear you to pieces.
So, yeah, it's just ridiculous, man.
Yeah.
I like to think of social media as like, I mean, it's a cesspool, obviously, but it's like people get to say whatever they want to say without the consequence of getting punched in the mouth.
Yep.
You know?
It's true.
And it's ridiculous. If I didn't have to be on social media for this business, I would definitely not be on it. So
For sure.
yeah. That's the way of the world, though, nowadays.
Yeah, it's true.
It's unfortunate.
What, I know you're very strong in your faith. I'd like to talk a little bit about that if you don't mind.
Let's do it.
Because us as hunters, I mean, Christians as well, that's something that's very important to us.
Absolutely.
How would you say faith has helped you throughout your journey? It's a broad question.
That's a loaded question.
Yeah.
This is my favorite topic.
Yeah.
I think the answer would be everything. I mean, everything I do, everything I've ever been through in my entire life, I don't know what I would do without a relationship with God.
Yeah.
He's the reason for my choices for really everything. I mean, let me back up. I'm definitely far from perfect.
Yeah. Well, we all are. I mean, that's why we're sinners.
Human, right? Yeah, we're all human. But as far as like, I don't know, my identity, I have a Bible-based identity. And how do we find out who we are as men, or if there's any ladies listening, as women? Like, we find out who we are by finding out who God is.
Yeah.
How do we find out who God is? Read the Bible.
Absolutely.
And then once we find out who he is, that's how we can find out who we were meant to be, who God's called us to be as men. And yeah, so to answer your question, how has my faith helped me with really anything in life? It's everything, you know, like God, I just know he's created everything, and, you know, he's fully in control. You know, as a Christian, we believe everything the Bible says, and we realize it, and we'll find in scripture that he's omnipotent, omniscient, and omnipresent. He's all powerful, all knowing, everywhere at all times through the Spirit. And it's like, man, when you realize that he created law, order, and design and everything that we live in, and you read the Bible and get to know him and have a real relationship with him, it's crazy how you start seeing things differently. And these things become very clear.
Absolutely.
But sorry to get a little long-winded there.
No, you're fine.
No, that's perfect.
You're fine.
Yeah.
Something that I noticed on your Instagram bio that I liked a lot was underneath it says faithful over famous. What does that mean to you?
Yeah, that's good. If I just sum it up, I can give you the short answer and the long answer.
We got time. We got all the time you need.
I think it's interesting because what is popular is not always right. And what is right is not always popular. So that's I'm going to be faithful. I guess if I had to quote a verse, it'd be, why gain the whole world when I would just forfeit my soul? Like, I'm going to be faithful to what God's called me to be and who he's called me to be versus do things for other people.
For sure.
And that's something I've struggled with my whole life. And it comes down to the insecurity of fear of man that I've struggled with my whole life, because I can start, so like one gift, and it's just part of my personality, that God's, how he's created me, is I'm a peacemaker.
Yeah.
Like a peacekeeper. And if I cross the line there in a way that's not like living in my purpose, I can be a people pleaser.
Yeah.
And then I can walk into a world of troubles. But to kind of go into fear of man, for people to really understand like what that might be, and it's really essentially this idea. It's an insecurity, is what it is. But it's this idea of being self-conscious, like worrying about what other people think of me, right? To the point that the way I walk or the way I talk, my actions or the words that come out of my mouth, they don't line up with what I believe in. Yeah. That's essentially what fear of man is. And then how I combat that is essentially it's directly in line with what I said earlier, is I have to read the word. Yeah. I got to understand what he says about me, his promises, who he says I am. And then it comes down to, I have a decision to fear God or fear man. Yep. And to fear God is essentially, I believe he is who he says he is. And again, I learned that in the Bible, but like understanding his word.
Absolutely.
Then it frees me to not be insecure. So what matters most to me at that point is what God thinks of me versus what everyone else thinks of me.
Yeah, for sure. And I read that and it really resonated. I was like, man, I like that. Yeah. And like you said, 250,000 followers, that's the first thing you read. That means a lot.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Especially to somebody who has no idea who you are. Right there.
Appreciate that.
You got a lot going on, dude. Like, CrossFit Games, new baby.
Yeah.
I mean, trying to find time with hunting season.
Yeah.
A lot, essentially. Like, I'm sure CrossFit consumes so much time. It's unreal. How do you balance everything?
Well, now being a father probably consumes more than that. So.
Yeah, being a father consumes a lot of my time. Right now, I'm just my main priority is just that. Try to support my wife, Jennifer. Absolutely. She's incredible. And yeah, be there for Judah. That's my son's name. And the cool thing about CrossFit is it is technically seasonal. So I don't really have to get like firing on all cylinders and pour all of my time into training really until about New Year's. So the season starts in February, and then around March, when I think about that, yeah, around like March, April, I have to really start getting fit and strong. Like everything has to be certain working together, which takes months of like, you know, these linear progressions, right? When it comes to your cardio, your strength, all these things. So really, yeah, around March, April, I have to get fit. And then the CrossFit Games isn't actually until like late July, August, beginning of August. And then I get the off season. It's just tough for CrossFitters because a lot of them are trying to make money, and these off season competitions are all year long. And it's really unsustainable to be your peak fitness all year long. Yeah. Because it beats your body up. And right now, being a father, it's easy for me. Like, I don't have any off-season competitions planned. I'm just focusing on, you know, fatherhood and all the other things. And right now, I look at it like a competition. But that first Form Outdoor Games, the archery fitness event we talked about earlier, like, I came in second place last year. I lost by 21 seconds.
Oh, that sucks.
Tell me if Tell me if I think about that at night.
Oh yeah,
that's the difference. I had 8 arrows. Yeah, that it was a centimeter closer to the middle of the target, and I had $10,000 in my bank account. And it wasn't about the $10,000.
It's just, but it certainly helps.
But for sure, definitely helps support my family.
Yeah, man.
But like, man, I guess let me back up because I don't want to make this about me and doing that archery event. But man, I learned so much from that archery event, and I got so much better at shooting. It made me have to shoot a ton, which I won't lie, like during hunting season, sometimes I'll go in a rut of getting busy with life and family and stuff. But now I'm like, because of that shooting event, dude, I can't go a day. I can, but I don't like to go a day without shooting 20 to 30 arrows. Yeah. If it's every morning, or like, it doesn't take me long, like 30 minutes. I can start at 20 yards. Sometimes I start at 40 yards, and I'll just get my arrows in and get my reps in. No different than like, hey, you know, if I PR my back squat, I'm going to use fitness as an example because I'm a CrossFitter here.
Sure. Yep.
Like, I can't expect to hit that same like personal best record of my back squat if I don't squat anymore. Yeah. Or if I want to improve that, how can I expect to do that if I don't go in and have the consistency and discipline by getting under that squat rack to continue to get better? And it's no different with shooting your bow.
Yeah, man.
If I want to get better and want to get more accurate and be able to shoot farther, how am I going to expect to do that if I'm not literally something as simple as shooting 20 arrows a day, even if it's at 20 yards? Yeah. Get it closer to the middle of the target. Yeah. And then eventually, guess what's going to happen? I'm going to get up to 50 yards, 60 yards, and I'm going to be dotting it up because I have the experience under my belt. Anyway, I just want to use that because I learned a lot about myself in archery just from that simple experience of, man, okay, I actually want to win this thing, so I got to shoot more.
Yeah. Yep. Practice makes perfect, man.
For sure.
Are you doing the Hunttober challenge with Mayhem Hunt?
It's funny, like I'm for sure gonna do some of those workouts, and of course I'm gonna do it. Always love supporting the rich, and not to mention the prizes for any listener that is listening right now. Mayhem Hunt. So right, you got CrossFit Mayhem. This isn't CrossFit Games or CrossFit training. The Mayhem Hunt program that Rich created is essentially functional fitness that helps you be a better hunter.
Yeah.
To train for the pursuit, right?
Yep.
And the cool thing about entering is that's really all it takes is entering and participating.
Mm-hmm.
And the prize is an elite bow.
Yep.
Brand new. I mean, I don't know the price tag on that. It's a lot of money.
It's over $1,000, I'm sure.
Yeah, even if you're a Matthews fan, you could sell it for $1,000 or $2,000 and then get you new Matthews.
Yeah.
And then a CRÜZR saddle.
Yep. So a whole setup from us. Yep.
I mean, that's kind of hard to beat, to not just enroll in, you know, committing to doing videoing yourself through a couple fitness workouts and practicing shooting under some heart rate.
Yeah, man. It's definitely worth it. I mean, that's a $2,000 package, So
yeah,
you could do that
or more. Yeah.
November, do the first form outdoor games, and you'll be in great shape.
Yeah. Yep, you'll be in good shape for sure.
No, it's I like to correlate the outdoors with fitness a lot.
Absolutely.
I need to.
It helps me a ton.
I got to find the time to work out. I mean, I used to work out a bunch. Like I said, I never worked out earlier, but I did when I was rock climbing a lot. I mean, you have to be fit to rock climb, and I was pretty much like I rock climbed religiously there for 5 years, so I was in really good shape. But no, man, you have 3 kids, you start a business, you get married. It's like all that stuff goes behind, and you gotta focus on supporting your family and stuff. So. No, I think
absolutely
hooking up with you guys. Rich invited me up to the barn to work out, and I'm like, gosh, dude, I don't know if I want to do that.
Come on, yeah, you got to.
Yeah, no, I'll come up for sure. They said they're gonna put a pole in and want me to come up and show everybody the ropes on the saddles and stuff. So
that would be awesome.
Yeah, I'll be up there, and I'm sure I'll get the itch to work out with you guys, even though I'll
you got to be
look like a fish out of water, but
you got to be elite to work out at Rich's barn, right? Like,
no,
that's the
no, you don't.
No,
not if I go up there.
No, well, that's what I was saying. Chad's about to be elite.
You're definitely surrounded by some of truly the world's fittest people.
Yeah,
going to Rich's barn. But the funny thing is, there's a ton of people there that don't work out really at all. That show up there, and I that's why I was gonna give you a hard time because man, like for Rich to invite someone to his barn and work out, that's a big deal, especially with where he's at in his life right now. Man. But so I was just gonna say, like, even if you just go shoot your bow up there, like, dude, you gotta go up there, even if you sweat a little bit and get in the hurt locker a little bit.
Yeah, I'm not scared of working out and getting sweaty and doing the work, but
that's cool too. That because I heard about this light. Am I saying that right? Light or telephone pole, I guess is a better way to say it.
Yeah,
He told me he's gonna plant one in. I don't know if it's at his barn or his dad's barn to practice shooting out of a saddle. Yeah. So you're gonna give a little tutorial and show them.
Yeah. So obviously they got a bunch of people hunting for Mayhem Hunt or whatever. Yeah. I think there's 6-7 guys, whatever. No, we went over to Mayhem yesterday and met Bird and dropped off some some gear and stuff, and he said that Rich is putting in a pole somewhere, I guess at the barn. Yeah. And he said as soon as they do, I'll be up there, and
that's cool, man.
Showing everybody tips and tricks and the ropes and stuff. So literally the ropes.
I hope they're getting content out of that. I'm sure Rich will have his video guy up there.
Yeah. We'll I mean,
that'll be good.
A camera up and
that'll be some cool. Honestly, that should be a YouTube video. Like that sounds awesome.
It really should, shouldn't it?
Yeah.
I want to do a day in the life of Chad Rice. That's what I want to do.
Hey, you know what's cool that Rich has up there now is like a little 3D course.
Yeah, he was telling me about that.
Yeah.
Because it's funny when he started really sighting in some of his bows. He has a target set up on the side of his barn, and it's marked. He put pavers in the ground.
Nice.
That they're
to walk
to walk from 20 every 10 yards all the way to 100. And then I didn't know he had a 3D deer there, and I was like, okay, that's an awesome setup. Like I don't even need a rangefinder to go there and like sight in my bow. But I think it's cool that on the other side of his barn now, he's got like an elk at 110 yards. He's got like a turkey 60 yards this way, like a little raccoon, like, I don't know, 35 yards that way. And it's just cool. He's got a little 3D.
Got a small TAC event.
Yeah.
Cool.
Which he bought all those targets at from
TAC,
yeah.
I didn't know they sold those.
Oh, yeah. Whenever they do the events, they'll take all their heavily used targets. I mean, they're still good to shoot at, right? But they'll load them on a pallet and sell them.
Yeah.
So
smart.
That's what he said. He bought.
That's what the CrossFit Games does. Like they have a bunch of gym equipment, or those like bikers or skiers or row machines. After the event, they'll just sell them for like half price.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. I've always wondered, like, how long does it take them to get all that stuff in there, set all that stuff up, and take it right back down?
Yeah, to give it to the people.
Yeah.
It's a lot.
Yeah, just to sell it for half what it's worth.
Yeah.
Do you have any deer season plans?
Yeah, I think the one most exciting trip I have is one of the Mayhem Hunt guys. His name's Brian Nelson. I brought him up earlier. He and Rich started me a mission. Anyway, he's got a farm in southern Illinois, and like 20 minutes, well, shoot, closer than that, but I'm going to go about 20, 30 minutes north of his farm, and there's thousands of acres of public hunting land. in southern Illinois. My brother and my brother-in-law, I told you in Georgia, shot that deer. I was hunting with them earlier this season. Anyway, the three of us are going up to southern Illinois from November 1st to the 6th, and we have a few spots that we kind of know about. I'm hoping in the next few years I really learn that area really well so I can keep going, although it's public, and hunt it and, you know, get acclimated. But I also have Brian, who in the future, like, he's got a really nice farm. That when deer start growing there, and I help him do some stuff, you know, I'm confident and hopeful he'll let me hunt the farm a little bit. But either way, I'm excited. Obviously the dream is to go shoot a big shooter, you know, a buck, obviously. But I'm gonna leave shooting something, and I'm planning on bringing some meat, you know, in the freezer. So
you get 2 tags. So
you hunted up.
Yeah, I went last year. I hunted public land in southern Illinois. We'll talk about where you're going after this. I can possibly give you some tips of where to go. But so I hunted up there last year, and it was my first time in Illinois. And not my first time out of state hunting, obviously, but first time in Illinois. The public land up there got beat down last year, and I was there from the 2nd to the 7th or 8th
of November.
Yeah, of November. And I mean, I remember I got there on a weekday, I believe, and then hunted through the weekend and a couple of days into the next week. The weekend was insane. There were so many people. There wasn't a parking spot without a car in it. On public land. But with that being said, I still got into some really good deer. Shot a doe the second day I was there. And then the third day I ended up going into a piece that I had, because the first 2 days, like, it was just trying to get away from people, right? Driving around a lot during the middle of the day. Like, I would hunt in the morning, not see a deer, get down at like 9 o'clock and just start driving around trying to see where people weren't.
Scouting.
Basically scouting. And then I'd get out and scout some pieces and stuff like that. But by the third day, you know, the end of the second day, I was really like just discouraged because there was people everywhere. So I got on the map, started map scouting. I mean, I looked at the map for like 2 hours that night, and finally I just like honed in on a spot. Pulled up the next morning, there was a guy in the parking lot. I was like, dang. So he started walking in. I was like, hey, bud, where are you going? Like, you know, I'm trying to hunt this piece too. And we kind of made a plan. And he was going, like, I had dropped a pin. He set up maybe like 100 yards from where I was going to hunt. Dang. I was like, all right, I guess I'll back off, you know, 60, 70, 80 yards, whatever. So we were almost 200 yards apart. And right where I dropped a pin, about 170-inch deer came through. Like, I was glassing it, dude. Thing's huge. And like, he ends up skirting into some thick cover. Never see him again. There was a couple of bucks. They were fighting. It was a whole thing. Big rut fest. And then
that's awesome though that you got to see that. I'm sure that got you excited.
Oh yeah, I was fired up, dude. The next day, hardly saw a deer. So I pushed in even further in that public, probably over a mile back, and it was the last day. I shot at about 140-inch 8 or 9 pointer. I can't remember. He was probably something like that. But I misjudged the yardage and shot right under him. And it was my last evening there. So yeah, this year I'm definitely going back with a vengeance to try to.
I get it. And I get excited because I'm originally from Florida, moved to North Georgia for a few years, and then I've now lived in Tennessee for about 5 years. And don't get me wrong, there's some monsters in Tennessee, but most of the deer I've seen here, I'm like, man, that's a really good deer. In Southern Illinois, it's like an average.
It's like a 3-year-old.
I'm like,
so all the 3-year-olds up there are 5-year-olds here.
That's what gets me excited. Because I still haven't killed, especially archery. I mean, I've killed a big buck like with my rifle, but the biggest deer I've killed with my bow still is a pretty wide 9-point, but nothing crazy. And I'm like, which is exciting for me because obviously, you want to kill something a little bit bigger every time.
Yeah.
Or something, obviously it's the story that matters, right? And the camaraderie, the brotherhood on the hunt, whatever the experience was. But man, I'm excited to shoot something big in Illinois.
Well, when you go out of state like that, it's like you're walking right into the unknown. You're like, there could be a monster out here.
Well, and you got a one-track mind, dude. You're like going out of state. Like, I mean, I literally hunted from daylight to dark every day I was there. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and the stand a lot longer than you would here.
Exactly. I mean, there were 3 days in a row I sat daylight to dark. And it was...
That's our plan. But it's sometimes what it takes, especially when, like you said, one-track mind. You're only there for one reason.
Yep. You're away from your family, away from home, like you're there on a mission. So, that's what we do. So
it's fun. Best part about it's the hunting camp, like you said.
Oh, I love hunting camp. Yeah, it's great.
Absolutely.
Well, Luke, brother, we sure appreciate you coming on today.
Yeah, enjoyed it.
We'll hope you smoke a big one out of that CRÜZR saddle this year.
Yeah, man.
Will do.
Yeah.
Chad, you got anything?
Appreciate you, man. Coming on for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. Appreciate you guys.
Yeah, dude.
All right, guys. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll catch you on the next one.